Let's go to the EU. We're going to go to a report by Jack Schickler, one of CoinDesk's great regulatory reporters, who has seen a leaked plan for restricting the ability of EU users to use privacy-enhancing crypto coins. That's Zcash, Monero, other privacy coins that work to help your business stay private. Now, this is a bit of a continuing theme in terms of crackdown on privacy coins in the EU and elsewhere, but this proposal would extend that a bit further should it ultimately get passed into law. Now, we're talking about the benefits of having public ledgers where you can track bad guys in real time. This is the flip side of that coin, and it should be discussed. Jen, what are your thoughts on this leaked draft?
I'm just going to take some words straight out of Wendy's mouth. This article made me so angry. Every time regulators talk about privacy coins, it feels like the discussion is so one-sided. They talk about, how these coins are specifically designed to avoid traceability, but they hardly ever mention the very legal, very real human reasons why someone may want to make a transaction and avoid traceability for reasons that are not to do with terrorist activity, that are not to do with money laundering. And I would just like to remind everyone that terrorist funding and money laundering existed long before privacy coins, existed long before cryptocurrency. And should these things cease to exist in the future, those things will continue to exist. The article said that regulators are worried that the metaverse, DeFi, NFTs, and privacy coins can be used to process criminal funds, bust sanctions, and raise money for terrorists. The last thing I want to say on this is these things are already illegal. Police, regulators, governments maybe need to be better at catching criminals than just, creating these broad stroke regulation that prevent innovation happening for the better good of society. And that is the end of my angry rant. Wendy?
I'm just very frustrated, like super, super frustrated. I'm going to actually tell a bit of a personal story to kind of segue into this. So we know that regulators and law enforcement, stuff like that, they have so much red tape that they have to go through to do anything. So I had a personal incident happen. I had to go down to the police station to report it yesterday. And they says, well, we can do a police report, but we can't actually do anything to the person because they actually have to do something to you more than just say X, Y, and Z. And I think that that's part of a problematic behavior that we have here in the United States and here in the EU is that things are not set up to really protect people or to help the average person. And all of these, people, our politicians or public servants, they just spend so much time bickering and introducing these very hard to understand laws and regulations, non-plain English, then by the time it gets put down to all of the people like the police officers or the lower level folks that are supposed to push this through, it just kind of gets caught, I guess, in the crosshairs and nobody's able to really do anything because there's so much red tape. And this goes back to all the regulation that we do have with crypto and trying to kind of figure this out. We're not given a clear answer and it's just very, very frustrating.
Yeah, I'll snag this one really quick. I wonder what it's like to be in the shoes of someone who's developed Zcash or developed Monero over the last few years. You've probably been waiting for this to actually happen. You've been waiting for a headline like this because that was the point of building this in the first place. It's freedom technology. The entire point of it is to be able to trace or not trace your transactions online, to actually bring digital cash to the world where I can move money from place A to place B and no one knows about it. Nobody has any transaction history on it and I can't be caught with anything. We have stuff like that for just messages, right? Signal's very popular nowadays. There's other options like encrypted versions of Telegram. Those things are out there, but there's not quite something like that for money besides Zcash, besides Monero, besides a few other privacy implementations built on top of Ethereum and Bitcoin. So I think these developers knew this was coming at some point. They didn't want it to come, and I think they're optimistic that maybe that day would never come. But in the EU, which seems to be very progressive on the regulatory side, this seems to be the path they've chosen to take. And we just have to look back to August when there was a sanction of OFAC from the US government, and then the subsequent arrest of a Tornado Cash developer in the Netherlands who is still sitting in jail right now without having any sort of verdict or judgment rendered against him, to see what people's stance on this is in the EU and on the regulatory front. Discouraging news, but I do think, just to answer Jen, your point earlier, I think this was somewhat expected from a lot of people in the space. This is the path I chose to take. It's very anti-state. and I think it's only going to amp up from here. Zach, to you.
All right, I'll be the narc. I'll be the narc on the panel. I'll be the square. I think that privacy coins are bad because they hurt the narrative that crypto can be self-regulating because it's a set of public ledgers that can be seen and audited in real time. And I think that public transparency and accountability at the code level is what gives crypto a fighting chance to exist in this world going forward, right? I think the cypherpunks are noble in their intentions, and they should be building privacy coins that protect financial transactions from the world to see, right? Privacy is not a crime, it's a right. It's important for people to develop their identities and feel safe in doing so. And that should extend to the financial world in some circumstances. But I think certain things like FTX make the case for public, open ledgers far stronger, right? Because it says as an industry, we have the tools to self-regulate ourselves because this stuff is traceable, is trackable, and when it interacts with KYC entities, that can have real world implications for real world humans, as we were talking about in our previous story about the FTX hack. So I will be the square who champions, again, open ledgers, despite I'm well aware of the privacy concerns that exist out there. But Wendy, I'll toss it to you for last word, and then we'll go to Will.
Really quickly before we go to Will, one of the reasons why I like privacy coins is because some people really do need additional layers of privacy, and I don't want to see them go away just because of a few bad actors or because people are scared of them. Yes, public ledgers are absolutely fantastic, and we are able to self-regulate a lot better with those, but at the same time, there are some people that do really, really need privacy coins for particular reasons.